A little while back, we had the man, the myth, the legend, James Hooks on the podcast, and it was so fire. It was such an amazing conversation. We had to bring him back. In today's round two conversation with James, we're going to talk about one of the most important underpinnings, one of the most important prerequisites to your success in your health, in everything, in relationships. We're going to talk about how to develop better discipline in this podcast. So stick around. It's going to be a good time.
Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we hear and learn from our coaches, CrossFitters, and Glen Ed community leaders. Now, here are your hosts, Dallas and Greg.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast. Great to have you here. We do get to talk with our coaches and sometimes our CFE community, as well as Glen Ed community leaders, business leaders, etc. But today we kind of get all three as part two, as Coach G said there at the drop. James D. Hooks. He is back. He is better than ever. James, what is up, my man? Good to see you again.
Oh, man, life is just moving forward and excited to be back on with you boys. You're two of my favorite people.
Well, James, this time we're going to have the conversation. For those who didn't listen to the opening 15 seconds, we're going to be talking about this idea of developing discipline, as it is so important, so crucial to our life and our success. And this is a really intriguing topic for me because there are certain areas of my life where I am superbly disciplined. And then there are other areas of my life where I need high levels of accountability. And there are other areas of my life where it is a show. There is absolutely no discipline whatsoever. So this is going to be an intriguing conversation for me, mainly because, James, you are one of these you're one of these icons at CFE. Can I say icons, G? Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Call him an icon?
I think that's fair. That's very fair. And it's let me clarify too. And I'll let James kind of give some of his background also, that not just an icon at CFE, but an icon in our fitness community. James, I don't know if James would, has fully embraced this yet, but I think he's at fitness influencer status for this community now. So
100%.
Yeah. And toward that end, James, do you mind kind of giving the audience, if they don't know you, a little bit of background on who you are and how you found your way into this walk of life?
Sure. First of all, you two guys are very kind. I appreciate it. And kind of how I ended up here and getting involved in fitness in several different places that I go to. It was a what's next mindset and process for me. I had lost a whole lot of weight, a little over a third of my body weight in a short period of time, just making some adjustments and some changes on the nutrition side of things. And I knew that going forward, after I had gotten to a healthy body weight, that I needed new goals and new things to strive for, or else I knew myself well enough to know that old habits would creep back in. So, within 2 weeks of finishing up and getting to a healthy body weight, I responded to a Facebook ad that G had put out looking for a few guys that just wanted to do a 6-week program and kind of a kickstart. And I was like, hey, I could do whatever for 6 weeks. I'll give it a shot, and the rest is history. It's been several years now, and just focusing more on body composition and being as strong and as healthy and as fit as possible for my family. And, I have 2 young girls at home, and just being capable and able to do what I want with them has been huge.
That's awesome. Yeah, everybody, it is quite the transformation. And I'm actually pulling it up for the people who are watching this on video. But so James, when you say you lost over a third of your body weight, tell people what that really means.
Sure. I started out at 305 pounds. I got down to 199. just so I could see the one time at the front of the scale in my
yes.
life. We call that in my business Wonderland, spelled O-N-E, Derland.
I love it.
And it's been like I said, it's been more of a body composition focus ever since. And even though I don't weigh 199 pounds anymore, I tend to hover between like the 210, 215 range. It's at a much better body composition even than it was then whenever I got down to that healthy body weight. So
well, this is, again, for those of you on the video version of this, we've got the photos up of James's before and after. And I know this photo is not the most recent after, because now you are playing with all the different. It's crazy. I'll ask him what he's up to, and he's saying things like, "Oh, I'm trying to put on 20 pounds of muscle right now," and so now you're at the point where you get to play a little bit. And sometimes you're just like, "No, I'm learning some new skills, so I'm not as focused on this." And it's really cool to watch you play around with the journey. But ultimately, what caused this initial transformation that has sustained, because many of us go through a transformation where we get on the weight roller coaster and we lose a bunch, and then all of a sudden that cycle loops back, and we kind of keep going around and round on that same wheel of misfortune. And but for you, James, you have maintained that level of discipline. So I'm actually really intrigued to talk about this conversation. And G, you have a similar story from 12 plus years ago where, so G is the guy who doesn't break the chain, everybody. When G Scale says, "Hey, I'm going to try something. I'm going to try adding cold showers." Next thing you know, it's like a year and a half later, he has not missed a day of missing a cold shower in the morning. So both of you are really great at creating the chain of daily discipline and keeping it. That's what I want to dig into with both of you. So I'm going to shut up and let the two of you talk.
Sure. I'll kind of kick us off here because I want to share some thoughts. Like, first, Dallas, thank you to you for being vulnerable and sharing with us that in some areas of life you struggle with discipline. In other areas of life, it comes more naturally to you. And I want everybody out there in our audience to know that if that's also your story, that is okay. That is okay. Like, you probably have natural predilections where you're great at relationships. Maybe you're not as good with your health, or you're great at work, you're not as great with your relationships. That kind of thing is completely normal, and you shouldn't feel ashamed about that. You shouldn't feel like you're a failure at life if there's one area where you need a little bit more help, a little bit more accountability, because we all do. And developing discipline, it can be done. There are things that you can do, and hopefully in this podcast, we'll get into some ideas, some thoughts, some paradigms that can help to advance that skill set of yours. But at the same time, like, it's also true that falling back on discipline, like self-discipline, sometimes it's just better to have a safety net of other people there with you also, to have others there along to the journey to help hold you accountable, so you're not just doing it yourself. So and keeping that in mind, it's okay for it's a struggle, but the good news is I want to share is that my perspective, I can't speak for James, maybe he has the same perspective. Discipline, very much like other skills in life, very much like a muscle, can be developed and trained with practice. You can get better at this if you're willing to start, get some good training, and develop that skill over time. And James, you can share your thoughts on this also, if you feel like this can be developed or if it has to be innate already.
Yeah, but you literally took the wording right out of my mouth as far as developing the skill of discipline. And it just, for some people, like you said, there are different areas where it's going to take more time because it does not come as natural to you. And there are other areas where you can build discipline very, very quickly. And one thing that I like to bring out early on when talking about this is the first thing that you need to do is just make a decision. All right. And just sit in that decision and understand that without that decision, you're just going to, you're going to be led by whatever's happening in your life because it's not it's not if life is going to get crazy on you at some point, it is when, right?
No doubt.
Life gets crazy. What?
Yeah, and a lot of people talk about like, oh, well, you don't understand my life because I've got this and this and this going, and I've got this and this and this going. Honestly, we all have our own individual cross to bear in life. It is what it is, and I don't know who I'm quoting here, but I know I'm quoting somebody that if we put everybody's issues and problems in a big pile, right, and you saw them all, you would likely want yours back. Right. I think honestly, part of that is we've kind of been uniquely prepared for our own set of issues and
sure.
things that come through in our life. And part of that for me is based on my religious beliefs, right? But we won't necessarily go way down that rabbit hole. But it's interesting just as far as making a decision and also understanding the why behind that decision, right? And for me, I've shared it a little bit already as far as being as healthy as possible, so that my girls will see that. My girls consistently see me doing hard things, right? We go in and do these workouts, so we're not playing patty cake, we are doing difficult things, and we're living that out in front of our kids so that they know when the struggles of life come, not if, but when the struggles of life do come, that they can do hard things as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Because what they see us do consistently is what they will consider to be normal.
Yeah,
for sure. Some people have said it that, like, in the leaders of any organization, including the home, whatever the floor of behavior is for the leaders will be the ceiling for the people that they lead.
Yeah.
So to put a couple of bullet points under this, which I completely agree that making a decision can be a major turning point for people. That point where you decide, you know what I've been doing up until now isn't good enough anymore. I am raising the standards for myself, starting right here, right now, who I am as a person. I am a healthy person now. Or, in CrossFit parlance, I am an athlete now, and I'm going to act in accordance. I'm going to act congruently with the kind of person who values health and values healthy eating. Because if you see yourself as the common example with this mindset side of things is, if you see yourself as a smoker, I'm a smoker, you're going to act in accordance with that behavior.
Yep.
You're going to default back to the identity you've assigned to yourself. But if your identity is, I'm an athlete, as we do in CrossFit world, or I've talked to Dallas about this before, the empowering identity that Dallas has embraced for himself is he's a warrior for fill in the blank, right? He's a warrior for his family. He's a warrior in business, and that is empowering for him. But in that moment of decision, deciding what I've done up until now isn't good enough anymore, I am raising the standard for myself, and now I am a healthy person. That creates a really, really good, it's a good setup, it's a good foundation upon which we can build discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think you said it there, G, when you said, I am a healthy person, right? When it stops being, these are the things that I do, but this is who I am, that's when it goes from conscious competence to unconscious competence. To
I like
where
that.
you just wake up and this is just who you are, this is what you do, and you don't even have to think about it, right? And that's kind of how our brains are wired for the most part. And you can get to that point, it's huge.
There's an intriguing thing here, G. One other thing you said there was, what's your empowering identity? So I know Tony Robbins calls this, you create a compelling future.
Sure.
Bob Proctor, Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life, would say you look at the future you now, behave like that person now, think like that person now, and you will become that person. So the idea is definitely there. What brings up for me in this an intriguing question is, we're talking specifically about physical health right now. Let me unpack this for just a second, guys. So over here on the other side, when it comes to the world of business or even management ownership, the idea is there's the old phrase, if all you ever do is work on your weaknesses, the best you'll ever be is mediocre. So over on this side of thing, it's like actually become a specialist. If you don't necessarily have discipline or excellence or a natural predilection towards something over on this side, you hire or delegate that to someone else, and you focus on your strength, and you get stronger at your strength. So for me, communication is like, my wife jokes, he's never met a microphone he doesn't love. So for me, I want to be the best in the world at this.
For sure.
So in my business, and this is where the dichotomy of thought comes in. In my business, I want to let go of the stuff that is dragging me, and where I can, even if I am a 2 out of 10, even if I double my efforts, I'm still a 4 out of 10 in that area. But over here, if I'm a 7 or an 8 and I can go up to a 9 or a 10, bam, I'm winning. However, that doesn't work when it comes to your body, which is what we're specifically talking about. So we've got separating that for everybody. Talk to me specifically about, like, I'm, quote, not an athlete, some people might believe, or they're just a 2 out of 10 on their physical health. Talk to me about the discipline of incremental growth in the physical side.
I'd love to take this one, or at least start our conversation with this, because first of all, everything Dallas said about, like, in business, like doubling down on your strengths, you're gifted with certain things, run with your gifts. It may not be the wisest choice to spend time honing or improving on your weaknesses. In that context, yes. But here's where it's different for health. You cannot outsource getting healthy to somebody else. You have to do that for you. And even more importantly, something that will speak to the why for so many people out there, you cannot outsource being a good example to your kids to somebody else. That has to be you. So if, like with James, your why I want to be healthy, why I want to go down this route and make a decision and be a better version of me, is because you want your kids to have a better life and be healthy also. That's how it is for me. Then, hey, you have to do this. You have to go from maybe sucking at this and being terrible at it and get started. But the good news is you can start really small. I mentioned how, like, I really feel strongly that discipline is a thing that can be developed like a muscle. One of my superpowers in life is my ability to start with a good idea, a healthy idea, start very small with it, and do a little bit on day 1, a little bit on day 2, a little bit on day 3, a little bit on day 4, and completely accept that I'm going to be bad at this when I start. When I first started exercising, I was terrible at it. I don't have athletic genetics. I don't have an athletic background. I didn't spring from the womb doing box jumps and pull-ups. Like, God didn't make me that way. God made me to be a bookworm. It was an uphill journey. But the thing is, like, just putting that little investment of time and energy and effort every single day, it does accumulate. You do get momentum. It does start to, like, the train on the tracks goes faster and faster and faster and faster. And if you just don't break the chain, next thing you know, you look at your now photograph and compare it to your before photograph, and you look amazing like James does. And you look incredible, right? But it's like that every single day. Start small, never break the chain. Don't stop once you start. Don't let yourself go backwards. And I want to send over to James, because James, I can tell he's got some thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, and I totally agree with everything that you just said on the exercise side specifically, and I know you'll 100% agree with me here as well, but on the nutrition side of things as well, just not breaking that chain is such a big deal. Because just, if you're watching this from anywhere, just blink at me if you've ever started a nutrition plan of any sort, right? Which, by the way, make a decision, move forward, start something, right? It doesn't have to be what I do or what G does. Start a thing, right?
Start a thing.
just living life at eating whatever's around is going to get you what you've always gotten, right? And if nothing changes, nothing changes. Anyway, now that I got that off my chest, I'll step off my soapbox, and just say the idea of not breaking the chain. And it's very, very easy. Like even me personally in my own life, if I have a very specific program that I'm following for a period of time with specific goal in mind, if I slip off a little bit, one of my personal biggest struggles is the I might as wells, right? Where it goes from well, I ate that thing, right? I know like things are going to get a little wonky, on my goals now, so I might as well do this. And then it turns that one thing you did into a whole day of snowball effect, or even a weekend or a whole week. And to me, that's one of the strongest parts of not breaking the chain, is avoiding that snowball effect. And you have to know and I imagine most people out there are that way. Like I know there are some people that can be successful moderators. I haven't met many of them. To be totally honest with you.
We definitely had some podcast episodes early on where we talked with Coach Kelsey about abstainers versus moderators, and the three people on this conversation we're all in the category of abstainer. My wife is a moderator. My wife can eat she can eat a cookie and be like, I'm good, versus like the old Brian Regan joke, like half of a sleeve of Oreo, like a wood chipper. So that's where the struggle is there. There's an interesting thought in some of the mindset coaching I do with some of my clients, which is the idea, you guys keep using this phrase, don't break the chain, don't break the chain. And for those of you who don't know this concept, it was actually something I came to know through comedian Jerry Seinfeld, where he decided, I'm going to write comedy every day. Like he saw guys going to construction sites every day that were getting up at 4 a.m. when he was coming back from the club. And he's like, if these guys can drag themselves to the site at 4 a.m. every day, certainly I can write more comedy every day. Even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, I sit and write 2 or 3 jokes. So he got a calendar on his wall, and he just started doing an X for every day that he wrote. And the idea is, once he stacked up like 3 or 4, he just kept saying to himself, don't break the chain, don't break the chain. He did not want to look at a month and see one white spot on the calendar. So the idea that comes from that stems from that is the idea, a lot of people say, oh, I lost momentum. I lost momentum with this. I lost momentum in my health, my fitness. And I heard one coach say recently, and it really stuck out to me, you don't lose momentum. You choose to give up momentum.
Right.
And so when I heard that, I was like, oh, crap, all these places where I thought I've lost momentum. Then I went back and was like, oh, never mind. I chose to eat that thing. I chose to not do that thing. And I was talking with G about this recently, and he's like, on our text thread, he's like, yeah, sucker. He totally smacked me down for it. I was like, I ate cookies. He's like, why? Why did you do that? But James, to your point, one bad meal doesn't mean I then give up and say, well, I'll start on Monday. Because I had one bad moment on a Wednesday, and I'm like, well, screw it. The rest of the week is game on. Right. I'll start again on Monday. That's how you really lose that moment, or choose to give up that momentum.
Yeah. I'd like to share a thought on this too. I think that James wants to share some thoughts here also. So if I were to speak more to the exercise side of things here, that this concept of don't break the chain comes up in a lot of different ways from a lot of thought leaders. I think the way that Tim Ferriss, the famous podcaster and author, puts it is that every day he just writes 2 crappy pages of content. And eventually he has a great book. But every day, 2 crappy pages is what he writes, right? And I think in the exercise space, so many people get so hung up on, I have to go and it has to be a great workout when I go to the gym. If I don't PR today, it's a loss. Or, I'm really kind of feeling a little bit tired today. I'll go to the gym tomorrow when I feel better or whatever. Like, you're creating this, you're making the standard of showing up way too high for yourself. What I'm saying is that like the don't break the chain pattern is made much easier on a long enough timeline if you like dramatically reduce your standards for what you would consider to be a success in showing up to the gym. Like just getting to the gym, doing what you can on this day, being tired, not feeling in the mood. If you've only got 20% to give, go to the gym, give all of that 20%, trust that it's enough. It's very, very easy to hamstring yourself by making like not breaking the chain. Like every day has to be a great day with my healthy eating. Every day has to be a great day with the gym. Do you guys know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And kind of what I'm partially hearing here as well is, we kind of brought up earlier about the concept of partnering with your future self, and the idea of you don't want to get to that your future self and it not look and be who you thought you wanted it to be. You know what I mean? And I actually recently did an exercise at an event that I went to with what I do through health coaching, where we all wrote a letter to ourselves in 3 months.
Yeah.
And the letter was not, hey, James, how's it going? It was a, James, you are doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this. It's not, oh, I hope this,
Right.
And it was straight down the line. And I don't want to open that letter, 3 months down the line, when that event organizer sends it to me, and have a whole bunch of those things on that letter be not true.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it all just comes back to kind of building that consistency, and that's a really strong motivator in bringing in additional accountability is such a big motivator for me, and I know it is for most people. So and understanding that on the nutrition side of things, at least, and also in the exercise side of things, that there's not another human on the planet that has more control over what you eat and how much you exercise than you.
I love that.
No,
that's so true.
Right?
That's so true.
You need to become the. Now, I this quote, I had one little caveat because of my belief in a very strong and powerful God in my life.
Yep.
But other than that, outside of that, you need to become the dominant force in your life.
Yeah.
Right. Stop playing the victim.
Yes.
And I know there's a little bit of real talk here, right? But it's kind of where I've gone recently, is more real talk and a little less patty cake. But sorry.
I like that idea. Become the dominant force in your life. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Discipline is hard, especially when you start. It's very difficult when you start. Kind of know that going in, after the first couple of weeks of any good habit that you begin, the novelty starts to wear off. It's not as new and fresh anymore, and it becomes difficult. Know that, I want to say two things on this topic. I don't know who needs to hear this, but just showing up to play day in, day out, just doing the thing, even when you don't feel like it day in, day out, builds wonderful momentum. And the more momentum you build, the easier this becomes. And it's never going to be totally easy if, like for James, like for Dallas, like for me, you didn't spring from the womb with six-pack abs and walking on your hands, right? It's never going to be totally easy, but it definitely gets easier, and it's so worth it. And you can do this. You are capable of so much more than you even realize. As long as you just get started, just keep showing up on the good days and the bad days, discipline becomes easier. Succeeding becomes easier. You can start intentionally engineering your physique as James and I do on a regular basis. We didn't start there though.
Yeah.
Start small, build from there, and give yourself this gift because nobody can give it to you but you.
I love that. So the thing you just said there won't necessarily be easy. It will become easier, but I got to admit, guys, talking with the two of you is the easiest. So I got to the superlative form there of easy with conversations with both of you. We are out of time for this conversation because we wanted to cap it around 30 minutes. But James, before we go, let everybody know how they can connect with you because you are helping folks day in and day out with their nutrition, with crafting their nutritional future.
Yeah, you and Dallas put it up there on the screen on Instagram at James D Hooks. Also, you can find me on Facebook, James D Hooks on there as well. And always great to be whatever encouragement I can. I post a lot of healthy recipes and encouraging things and things like that. If you want to talk more about what I do as a health coach, awesome. I like to just have regular conversations with people. If what I do makes sense to you, awesome. If it doesn't, I'm in your corner no matter what. And I just love seeing people move forward.
That's awesome. And the truth is, everybody, when he says he's in your corner no matter what, that is 100% true. That is what James does. And so does Coach G. So if you want to connect with the CrossFit Edwardsville team too, so you can connect with James D Hooks on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for that. You will find the man. And you can also connect with us on all the socials at CrossFit Edwardsville. We'd love to have a conversation with you. If you're ready to take the next step in your in crafting the future self that you want to become, you can check us out at CrossFitEdwardsville.com and book a no sweat conversation. Easy button right there at the top of the page. That's it though for today. G, why don't you sing us out, man? James, thank you so much, brother.
Love you guys.
Yes. I want to say the same. James, thank you. Dallas, thank you for the gift of your time, sharing your insights and like what you have experienced. You guys have both done something really important to help inspire people to live their best lives. To our audience, thanks for joining us here today. Hopefully you guys got fired up to go and live your best life because you are capable of doing it. You're capable of so much, and I'm excited for you guys to actually see it and experience it yourself. But for now, guys, thank you. We love you guys. We'll see you guys in the next episode.